currently. So here's the agenda, planned agenda that we have for this in this specific presentation. We'll start off with a global perspective of the We4F Grand Challenge, and then shift to the discussion on the South and Central Africa Regional Innovation Hub itself. Following that, we will speak to some of the opportunities that are available for you to get involved with our specific program, and then we'll take some questions going forward. So what is the We4F? The Water and Energy for Food We4F Grand Challenge is really a multi-donor funded international development program that has received support from the European Union, the governments of the United States, Sweden, and Netherlands, as well as Germany. The We4F Grand Challenge is really a global program that's implemented regionally with the goal of increasing food production through sustainable water and energy usage. The founding partners that I mentioned earlier have committed $65 million towards 3 focus areas, which is the water food, energy food, and water energy food, as you can see clearly depicted in our slide right now. There are 5 regional innovation hubs, of which the Southern and Central Africa is the latest edition of the program. As you can see from our slide, the hubs are situated in the South and Southeast Asia, which is based in Bangkok, with its headquarters in Bangkok, Thailand. The East Africa Regional Innovation Hub, based in Nairobi. The Middle East and Northern Africa Hub, the MENA Hub, based in Lebanon, and the West Africa Regional Innovation Hub in the Ivory Coast. We are based in Pretoria, the Southern Central Innovation Hub, and that's our primary base of operations for now. So why set up a program like of this nature? So we have a well understood global and agricultural challenge that is well documented, as you can see from the statistics I'm displaying now. We have an ever expanding population, changes in consumption patterns that are all contributing to increasing greenhouse gas emissions and ultimately creating an unsustainable agricultural approach. And through this We4F Nexus approach, we're trying to find a strategic response to one of the greatest challenges of our time, which is how to incentivize innovative ways to produce enough food for a growing global population without placing further burden on natural resources or risk contributing towards climate change. So from these challenges creates a whole host of opportunities that we can sort of work with the private sector to try and address. So the program seeks to make an impact on increasing food production along the value chain through a more sustainable and efficient usage of water and/or energy. Ultimately, we are seeking to increase the income of the base of the pyramid, women and men in both rural and urban areas, and working with with innovators and entrepreneurs who are working in the We4F space, who are developing solutions to meet this global challenge as described, and working with them to scale their innovations as we address this specific challenge. We're also seeking to promote climate and environmental resilience and biodiversity through the sustainable and holistic management of water and natural resources and ecosystems generally. So the mandate of all the We4F regional hubs is to recruit innovators who are operating across the food value chain that we can sustainably support and help them scale their innovation. Our support is primarily through technical assistance, grant funding, and improving the enabling environment by seeking policy alignment and helping our innovators, entrepreneurs navigate a very complex regulatory framework. In addition to all these elements, we're also working to seek investment and partnerships to be able to grow the program's reach as well as the impact on the base of the pyramid. So with particular reference to the WIFO South and Central Africa Hub, we operate in 12 countries. So I like to look at this as, to think of this as the SADC countries, less Tanzania and Malawi, and then we add on the Central African Republic and Chad and the Central African Republic. So in a nutshell, these are the key countries that we operate in and where the focus of all our activities will be. The hub itself is committed to achieving the following targets. The first of which is to identify and fund at least 30 WIFO innovators across the region and provide at least 90 instances of technical assistance to support them. We also aim to increase investment to innovators by at least $7.5 million. And we're also seeking to support innovators in reaching a minimum of 1 million smallholder farmers and other end users, of which 25% of those are women. In all our activities, there's an underlying principle of ensuring that we integrate gender, the environmental sustainability principles, as well as keeping in mind the base of pyramid in the design and the development of all the interventions that we're preparing. Also, we are also working with farmers to increase their food production whilst increasing water and energy efficiencies. Over and above that, we're also working on the broader enabling environment issues and ensuring that there's greater collaboration between the innovators. The environment in which the innovators are operating in is more conducive and allows for the expansion and scaling of all their innovations in the space. The South and Central Africa Regional Innovation Hub is implemented by a consortium led by Tetra Tech in partnership with Open Capital Advisors, who lead our brokering unit, and the International Water Management Institute, that is also responsible for leading our enabling environment unit. So at the core of our delivery of our program is the provision of market-based solutions to developmental challenges. So in essence, we're striving to work ourselves out of existence. And in order to accomplish that, we need to develop new and different partnerships that engage a range of actors. So in the traditional sense, our approach is not the normal type of development program that seeks to provide support to our end beneficiaries. Instead, we're focusing more on developing partnerships with the private sector to ensure that there is sustainability in our approach and there is true value that is created and long-lasting impact. So what we mean is that we're co-creating and co-investing with private firms and a variety of entities to drive results in emerging markets, which significantly impact water and energy efficiency in the food sector. And in the process, we hope to improve the lives of millions of smallholder farmers, young men and women across the region. And in order to achieve this, there's a need for strong partnerships with the private sector and the various entities to ensure that we've got market buy-in and we are contributing to providing sustainable solutions. As it's well understood, the private sector is a powerful force for economic growth, job creation, and advancing opportunities to improve the well-being of people and communities. So through our approach, we're working with local, regional, national and international private sector actors. We are hoping to seek and build relationships and connections that may not ordinarily exist. So in our approach, we have a number of opportunities that we often engage with as we engage with the private sector, and I'll speak to these in the coming slides. So the first one, which is probably the most prominent of all the innovations, is our what we call our call for innovations. The call for innovations is the means by which we identify innovators that are pioneering technologies that optimize the use of water and energy in agricultural production. We then work with these innovators to scale the innovation and make it accessible to a wider group of people that include smallholder farmers in the base of the pyramid actors. So when we say an innovator, we mean an entity that is registered, that has developed a technology and innovation that focuses on providing value to smallholder farmers and seeks to optimize production in the water, energy, and food nexus. The innovation can be targeted at either water, food, energy, food, or water, energy, food nexus subsectors, and is critically important that it needs to be ready to scale. I welcome those of you that may have missed the Q&A of the CFI to go and watch the YouTube video at the link that one of my colleagues will drop in the chat as during the course of this presentation. So what are the intended outcomes for the call for innovation? We want to make available $1.25 million that will deploy in a combination of grants, technical assistance, or investment facilitation. The idea is to work with businesses that are ready to scale, their innovations, that are also ready to secure investment into their businesses, and through our processes, ensure that we integrate environmental, social governance themes into their businesses. The awards themselves will range from between 40 to 200,000 US dollars, and will have a period of performance of 3 years. So the call for innovations is in essence a competition that we're running and has scoring criteria. So we look at 3 broad categories. The first category is the viability of the innovation itself. So this speaks to the innovation description, how the innovation will provide value to end users, and how it will differ from other existing products. And also, as we evaluate these, we're also looking at the innovation's relation to the water, energy, and food nexus. This overall has a weight of 35% of the total score. The second category is the business and financial viability. This relates to revenue and plans for expansion. It also speaks to the total addressable and potential market share for the product, and as well as the product and or service costs. This is a weight of 30% in our total score. The application sustainability in what we call the ESG elements in development countries is the third category that we also focus on. This speaks to the location where the innovation will be deployed, the extent to which the innovator has local partnerships, and how integrated the ESG principles are in the business model, as well as the impact of the innovation will have towards the base of pyramid demographic. This has a total weight of 35% of the total score. So here I'll share with you our preliminary results of the call for innovations. So we've had our first call for innovation open from the 23rd of November to the 21st. And a total of 42 days. And this was widely advertised as an opportunity for agricultural enterprises, nonprofits, research entities to apply for support by submitting a concept note through our online platform. In total, we received a total of 463 individuals who started applications, and only 175 finalized them from across the 12 countries. And we're currently in the process of shortlisting those applicants that will be invited to submit a full proposal for funding. So from the trends, what we received that the top countries that applied were from the countries that had the most applications, most complete applications were Zambia, Zimbabwe, the DRC, and South Africa. As you can see, the innovation categories that we saw from the first call for innovations were really largely in the water, energy, food space that had 62%. The water and energy category had only 21% of all the innovations, and the energy food category had 17%. Again, for those that need greater detail on the Q&A for the CFI, you can go to the webinar that we did, the Q&A webinar, that will speak to some of the questions that you may have had. In terms of the call for innovations timeline, the CFI itself is a two-stage process. The first one is the concept note stage. And this is the stage that we've just completed that helps us shortlist the most promising applicants and decides on who we invite into the full application stage. The full application stage is where we ask the shortlisted organizations to provide finer details about their innovation and the technologies. Once those two stages are complete, we'll then move on to the interviews with the finalists. This is then followed by pre-award, bootcamp, and award announcements. So I want to speak to you a little bit of our second opportunity with which we engage the private sector and at large, and most people that are probably on this call, which is the opportunity for the investors. As I've mentioned earlier, we have a brokering unit whose mandate is to mobilize private capital for selected V4F cohort companies and mobilize ESG-focused investments. Over and above that, the brokering unit has a mandate to reduce barriers to investment for small to medium enterprises in the water, energy, food nexus, and also improve access to end-user finance mechanisms for the V4F innovations. The expression of interest that we ran gives an opportunity for the hub itself to partner with investors in looking for credible innovations to fund and support, and that have a greater chance of succeeding and guaranteeing return, particularly in the V4F space. So what's the value add to the investment partners of engaging or working with the hub? When investors work with the hub, there are several elements where the partnership can add value. Okay? For instance, we reduce the pre-investment origination costs by providing a pipeline of V4F businesses that are investment ready. The hub also reduces the information asymmetry by performing the relevant due diligence checks to support investment. We also provide de-risking mechanisms and technical assistance to support the innovator and his or her business succeed, and in so doing, increase the likelihood of the investment being a success. And over and above that, by working with the hub, you get access to a network and an ecosystem of like-minded organizations that are operating in this space. Speaking to the last opportunity that we engage with most of the private sector and businesses and individuals such as yourselves who are on this call, is through what we call the expression of interest for service providers. The hub provides opportunities to work with service providers to deliver technical assistance to innovators on our behalf. By joining this pool of service providers, you could benefit from working with game-changing innovators who are pioneering technologies to expand V4F technologies writ large. Over and above that, companies that partner with us have an opportunity to expand their market reach and connect with organizations that they would not have ordinarily done so, creating a wider scope, a wider audience, and a wider ability to connect with more businesses. Over and above that, the service providers that join this pool will join a fraternity of organizations that have an in-depth understanding of the workings of the V4F Nexus. To date, we have 12 categories that we expect to support, and I'll speak to these 12 categories in the upcoming slides. Excuse me. The categories of technical assistance include the base of the pyramid impact support that looks at end user financing models, in-house credit development, business model advisory, and that the nature of things related to base of pyramid. Over and above that, we'll be working with service providers that are in the product development, product refinement space, marketing and sales, and organizational capacity development. The slide details the various elements that we tend to focus on, but these are just a teaser, and there could be a slightly wider package. The remaining 8 categories include investment readiness, gender integration, business development, and environmental sustainability. These are the large categories that we go, and the details again is listed on the slide as for you to sort of digest and review. So at this stage, the opportunities for service providers has been closed, and I would advocate for those to sign up for the V4F newsletter to get information about these and other opportunities relating to these specific hubs. So with that, I'd like to just take a moment to pause and check if there are any specific questions that may have popped up.
Hi, Selina. I can see your hand is raised. Please use the chat box to raise your question for us. Stanley, I see your question. Are there any applicants that have been contacted for the next round?
Thanks, Stanley, for that question. At this point, we're still going through the review process, and we're finalizing the semi-finalists, we call them, the semi-finalists that are going to go to the next round. So I suspect in the next coming week, you should get some feedback on the outcome of your application.
Okay. We have a question from a service provider. Yako is asking, will service providers only be notified of opportunities through the newsletter, or is there another platform where procurement notices will be posted?
At this point, Yako, once the service provider database has been finalized and completed, the pre-vetted service providers will be communicated directly as opportunities arise, and through that process, go through a bidding process where they are shown, where they get an opportunity to respond to the specific scope of work that is put in place. So there is a separate platform for the pre-vetted service providers that they will engage in.
Okay, Leanne is asking, what was the deadline for service providers? I believe it was
Yeah, the deadline for service providers was the 14th of January. I would like to encourage colleagues to type their questions in the chat because the way the system is set up, we won't be able to take calls to take responses verbally.
Sorry, Mr. Chibuye is asking, how many rounds did you say? I assume he's referring to the call for innovations.
At this stage, we've only concluded our first call for innovations. As we go through the innovations, we are likely to do a second call in the coming months. Again, I would encourage all of you those who didn't get a chance to apply in the first time round, to sign up for the newsletter and be on the lookout for a second call should that ever come about.
I would just maybe read out Bruno's question, Evans, maybe before we miss it. So Bruno is asking, in an event that one is not the owner of the technology, but one who wants to benefit from the same technology and has applied in partnership with the owner of the technology, how do you assess such an application? So Bruno, thanks for the great question. So what we do is you can apply as a partnership or in collaboration with the owner of the technology, but make sure that the owner of the technology is the main applicant, and you just come as either an implementing partner or some form of a partner, but the owner of the technology has to be the one who submits the application. Thank you.
Thanks, Mashi. With regards to the question around the next round of applications, we will have multiple opportunities for CFIs, another call for innovation that will come up, and we'll also have another call, another expression of interest from service providers. As we finalize the first call, we'll understand what the needs are, and we will open up that opportunity. Again, I want to stress, please sign up for the newsletter. That way you get an opportunity. You hear about it when it's fresh off the press and be able to respond whilst there's still time.
Evans, I'm going to read a question from Evaldo. He says, for those that go to the next round, will there be a boot camp or business session?
So those that go through the next round, we are going to hold a Q&A webinar where we detail the related instructions for completing that specific round. And once you have that understanding, we will then engage with the specific interviewees when we have follow-up questions. So there will be an opportunity to engage and have a little bit more detail in areas where we don't have clarity.
So Rentmails Agro is asking, why is it that Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa were in the lead in application than other places? Is there some environment which was a driving factor? I think his name is Rogers from Rentmails.
And I think that's a fascinating question. I think at this stage, we're looking at the bulk of we're reviewing the material as it's coming in and trying to make sense of the data. So At this point, we can't prove causality, whether that is the case, but the indications would seem to imply that these countries seem to have a robust environment where these kind of innovations are more commonplace and are happening. So it could be a range of issues that speak to the presence of incubators in those specific countries. It could be the expanse of the networks, access to internet. It could be a range of issues. We are in the process of designing a follow-up questionnaire to understand, for those that either did not complete their applications or were unable to do so, what the reasons behind that would be. But at this stage, it would be mischievous of me to try and hazard a guess as to why that is the trend. But I'll just leave it at that.
Frank is asking, I'm from Tanzania. Can I submit my innovation?
So the Tanzania falls under the East African Hub. They have a call that they also have their own call for innovations. We could try and see how we can connect you to the folks at that specific hub, and then we could see how they will let you know when the next call for innovation is open. But the strict answer is that we only cater for the 12 countries that are listed on the in the map that I showed earlier on. So the 12 countries.
I'm just gonna quickly read Tatenda Gondo's question and provide a very quick answer as well. So Tatenda is asking, how many businesses will make it to the final? So Tatenda, thank you very much for the question. But right now we're in the process of reviewing the concepts notes, and then we'll go to the final full application review. So it really depends with the review process as to how many can actually go through. So we cannot give like an exact number to say from this application how many are going to go through. We will see after evaluating the full applications as to how many applications would be meeting the criteria to go through. But we hope it will be in the range of 30 or so, but we cannot really give a figure. Thank you.
Just to bring clarity to the question around which countries can apply, which countries are eligible, I'm just going to reshare the slide again. So if you are from Mozambique, you can apply any of the 12 countries listed.
Thank you, Evans. We have a question from Aruna is saying, if the lead applicant is the local distributor and the technology owner is the partner, will the application be rejected? This is quite a technical question. Anyone want to have a go?
So Krishna, can you come again? Sorry, I was just responding to the other chat. If you could just come again.
Sure. If the lead applicant is the local distributor and the technology owner is the partner, will the application be rejected?
So thank you very much. So that's a little bit of not quite clear. So if the distributor is the owner of the technology, and then they partner with the other, did you say the? Because I can't quite get the question. If you say the distributor is the owner of the technology and Krishna, if you can help me to read the question again.
Yes, so the applicant is the local distributor and the technology owner is the partner.
Oh, so we need the technology owner to be the lead applicant.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Evaldo is asking if we have projects running in Mozambique. I think if we could just reiterate that Mozambique is eligible and how we might engage him.
Yes, I mean, Mozambique is part of the 12 countries that we are targeting, and we've received some applications from Mozambique. So after the full review process, we will see how many we'll be able to go through. And so definitely Mozambique is our target country, and we will be having some, hopefully some activities in there. And we also hope to get a resident country coordinator who will be, the kind of like direct close contact with the innovators in that in Mozambique.
Isaac is asking, can you share an example of a water food innovation?
Yeah, for sure. So a water food innovation would be, it could be anything. You could be doing anything within the irrigation space, but most importantly, that innovation has to either improve water use efficiency or make sure that we produce more with less water, or any such related innovations. So really, I think the key takeaway is to make sure that that technology is helping us to produce food either with less water, or just to make sure that the general water use efficiency is very high. And it could be really a wide range of innovations that could be there. Like you could be doing some water pumps or some apps or some digital platforms rather, just to name a few.
Wonderful. Doreen is asking, when might the next call for innovations be held? I think we're saying tentatively September 2022.
To be safe, I'll just say Q3 of 2022. You're right. Yeah. Without, yeah, the third quarter of 2022, we're likely to have a second call.
Okay, we have an applicant from Chad asking if his concept note is correct. I think if we could just repeat how concept notes are being evaluated and when applicants will be notified.
So your question is your maybe I'm so if you're from Chad, you're eligible to apply because you are one of the 12 countries. Okay, so there's specific eligibility criteria you must meet for you to be able to have, for lack of a better word, a correct concept note. Okay, so what's going to happen is that we are currently in the process of reviewing those concept notes, and in the next next week or so, we're likely then to share with those that are going through to the next stage in this process. There's various peculiarities around eligibility criteria, which we discuss in great detail in the Q&A session in our YouTube channel, and that on its own and within the call for innovations itself. So without more information, it's very difficult for me to assess the correctness of a specific innovation, particularly with a few words on a chat, and it's a little bit more detailed than that. So I hope my response is sufficient. If there is a further follow-up questions that you have, perhaps you can write us in a specific email, and then we can try and get into some of the details.
Okay. We have a potential applicant asking if they'll receive feedback on why their concept note was not successful, why their application was not successful.
Yes, thank you, Christina. So what we do during the review process is we make sure that we provide comprehensive feedback on the application itself about in terms of why it went through or why maybe it didn't make it. So I would say because of the large number of applications we've received, you had Evans talking about 463 that started and then 175. So if you would like to know when the full process is over, why your application maybe was not successful, feel free to get in touch and we will be happy to share with you the feedback.
Thanks so much. I think we have a potential applicant who says, I'm an NGO, I'm wanting to give services to rural communities. Can you give an example of a technology owner? This is obviously quite broad. What I've done is I've posted the link to the call for innovation solicitation document where all the eligibility criteria are listed. If you want to elaborate on that, Evans.
So the question is, can I give an example of a, can you repeat the question again?
I think we potentially have an applicant from a rural NGO. So they would like to understand what kind of technology might be eligible.
So I can jump in quickly. Then maybe if need be, Evans can add on. So I mean, we talking about technology, but in essence, we really are calling each and every one of you innovators. So it really is about innovation. You may probably not have a technology as it were, but you've got an innovative way of reaching to those rural communities. And that's what we would want to hear from you. And then we can assess like the innovativeness of that idea of how you want to reach those rural communities. So it may not necessarily be that because you're an NGO, you can't make a digital platform or an app or water pump, but it's really the innovativeness of the service that you're providing that we will then be looking at, and also the impact that you are having in terms of like those rural communities, which obviously fall within our base of the pyramid demographic.
Thank you so much. We've got a wonderful question here on a technical innovation. How exactly will the funds be used? For instance, if I intend to do aquaponics that saves water and the system is solar powered when we've been using drip irrigation before.
So I guess the principle is really around the innovation. So you find an innovation, is it scalable? So if you are a, hypothetically, if you are an aquaponics manufacturer, and you have this system that uses solar power and you're trying to expand it to sell to more people who can then use it. This specific innovation, you've made your aquaponics to be such that the base of the pyramid has got access to it and it's affordable to the extent that is accessible to the base of the pyramid. Then we are willing to help you scale the innovation. So it's slightly different from helping one individual sort of farming organization, one business, set up an irrigation system or an aquaponics plant or at their farm. Do you see what I mean? So the innovation must be one, it's something that you're selling to the public that has already got traction, that is already got sales volume, same sales numbers as detailed in the call for innovations document. And then once that innovation is what we are selling, not supporting one specific farmer to build an aquaponics plant. I hope that's helpful. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a great question from Samuel asking, does projects in the food supply chain that show innovation in water usage for post-harvest food management, are they eligible for the program?
Thank you, Christina. Yes, they are eligible because clearly you did mention that they are within the water food nexus, and you also did mention that they help to save the water. So definitely they are eligible.
Okay. So we've got a comment here potentially from an applicant who says, if it feels comfortable that all applicants receive feedback, either selected or not, as a way of appreciation and show how the concept failed to go on to the next level. Rogers from Zambia.
That is a very good suggestion, Rogers. And like I said, we do have at the end of each review process, we do have a database that captures all the feedback from all the reviewers. So thank you for that suggestion. We will take it on board.
Okay, I'm just going to read this from a potential service provider. If you successfully applied to be a service provider, but WIFA finds that the country in question where you're based does not have many applicants as expected, but the service being provided is needed by innovators in surrounding countries, will the WIFA Innovation Hub look to see how to amend the address the needs of the successful applicants elsewhere?
Thank you again.
Understand where Yami might be from.
Thank you again, Christina. So basically, what we make clear is that we will not be able to provide a budget for travel for you to go and provide those services in that neighboring country. But for example, if that service were to be offered maybe digitally or virtually rather, then maybe it will be something to consider. But just to be clear that we will not be providing a budget for travel for the service provider to go and give that particular service to the innovator.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from an NGO saying, are you able to reinforce capacity? Perhaps this is more a question around capacity building. I'm not sure.
So,
thanks once again, Christina. So I think if you apply as an innovator, this is really part of the support we give. So we give two types of support if you apply and you're successful as an innovator or as an NGO. One is you could get financial support, but also you can also get technical assistance support. So if we do realize that maybe as an NGO, you need some kind of capacity development and the like, we can then provide that as technical assistance, and which is non-financial. So yes, we do provide some form of capacity development, as you put it, in the form of technical assistance, as we call it.
Okay, we've got a note here from a potential service provider in the water sector. Can we apply? I think if we could just reiterate how the expression of interest for service providers operates.
So what we do is we have a date that we open a call for the service providers, and we make that known to everyone. During that period, you will have access to a platform for which you can register and then follow up, complete a full application, provide a specific set of documents as it relates to that specific application. Then once that then happens, when we close the call, we then evaluate those, then add those individuals if they meet the criteria to the service provider database. So in essence, that's the process that we follow. I would urge him or her to look out for the newsletter, and in the newsletter there will be specific details of when the open EOIs for service providers open for our specific region, and then they can apply then.
Okay. So again, clarity is the main idea to invent an idea that can gain traction to others, other farmers in the community. Again, I think we may need to just emphasize the eligibility for established enterprises.
Absolutely. So at this stage, we're looking to engage late-stage entrepreneurs, late-stage innovations that have gained traction and have a track record of traction in sales going forward. So the nature of support we provide is not for ideation, it's for already functioning, working businesses that have sales, that have a proven track record of a certain amount. I believe it's if it's below $100, you need to have made 5,000 sales. If it's above $100, you need at least 1,000 sales. Those are the sort of businesses that we're looking for.
Okay, we've got a very specific question here from Patrick. We are in the production of organic fertilizers and also in the production of charcoal briquettes. Are we eligible?
I want to shy away from getting to the specifics of specific applications. We are going through a review process now, and I think the idea is that we will notify those specific applicants with the details for those in the next week or so you'll get an outcome from there.
Yeah, I think perhaps if we could put up the slide on the ESG targets around reducing carbon emissions, that could also be helpful. Sorry, just further clarification on service providers. If the service is delivered digitally, which is obviously a very real question in this new virtual world where we meet online, why are we specifically being asked for location or jurisdiction? I think if we could just
thank you, Christina. So I did mention the possibility of delivering the service virtually in special instances where, like, because a situation had arisen that someone is in the neighboring country and maybe they can provide digitally, but clearly what we would prefer is for you to be in the country where the innovator is, so that if needs be for you to be on site to monitor, to assess and the like, it will be much better. And quite frankly as well, it's not many services that could be offered virtually with the correct or with high uptake rate from the innovator. So we really want the innovator to be helped, like, really very closely, and most preferably from a local safe provider. But in that special case that had been raised, that maybe someone is in a neighboring country, could they also do it in their neighbor's country? That's where the issue can be assessed, like on a case-by-case basis, depending on what kind of service that actually is.
So in addition to what Mashiri just said, I think the focus is really in trying to build capacity in the countries that we're operating in. So this is a means by which we're engaging the private sector. So by working with entities that are locally based, that are in the countries, that are in the 12 countries that we have chosen for operation, we're building the ability of organizations, service providers, to be able to engage and participate in these types of projects going forward. So it's part of a broader market systems development approach to ensure that the local actors can continue to provide these services should the innovators continue to need them after the project is continued to end. So the emphasis is really on ensuring that we build the capacity of the service providers as we interact and engage with them going forward.
Evans, if you can allow me to please reiterate one point, as I've seen that this is like a recurring question that we're getting. So for procurement integrity, all the feedback that we'll be giving, which is part of the concept note and full application stages, will be done as part of a process. and not outside of any process. So if we decide at any point that we will be providing sort of detailed reasons as to why certain innovators didn't get chosen, then we will then provide all that feedback to every single one of the innovators. So if I can say, no specific innovator organization will be receiving sort of feedback on the side. So it will all be done as part of a process. Thank you. So sorry, if I can just say the email address. I see it's been given, I think, twice already, but it's we4Africa, rih@tetratech.com. Thanks.
Evans, maybe you could go back to the contact page. Thank you so much. Sahin, yeah, Sahin from Turkey, I think I've just replied to say I'm from Turkey, but I possibly have an innovation that could apply in African countries. I think if you read the call for innovations, you'll see that the eligibility requires your enterprise to be registered in one of the 12 eligible countries. Okay, is there a question I'm missing? Let's see.
We've covered all the questions, Christina.
Fantastic. So if there are no further questions, maybe I want to just take this opportunity to thank you all for taking the time to participate in our launch. I hope this has sparked enough interest for you to go to our website, to go and get the more details. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to write to us at the email address that is on your screens right now, and we will try our best to try and respond to you and the question and the specific use questions that you've got. If there are no further questions, we'll gladly sign off and thank you again for participating.